Okay, this is 6.2, dividing rational expressions, and now we're going to throw in variables. So we're on day 2 looking at division of 6.2. Now, the steps here I have, again, are the same, except the one difference on the steps is step number 3, where we're going to multiply the top and bottom by the root of the denominator. Now we have to make sure that the variables are powers of 2. So on step 3, you want to make sure when you multiply, you want the variables to be powers of 2. You want them to have an exponent of 2. So, for example, if I have the square root of 3x on the bottom, okay, and let's say I have 5 on the top, whatever, I'm going to multiply by the square root. The 3's got to go with it, okay, and I have 1x, and I need a power of 2, so I'm going to have to multiply by 1x. So when I do this, that's the 3x. So on the top, I would have 5 times the square root of 3x all over the square root of 3x and squared. So then in this case, the square and the square root would cancel, and I would have 5 times the square root of 3x all over 3x. Notice there's no root in the denominator anymore. Okay, so you always want your variables to be powers of 2 or multiples of 2, okay? Because the breaking down part is going to be the same process as before. Okay, let's look at a couple of examples here. Okay, so for example, this first one, process is still the same. Is there a number that'll go into 9 and 6? There is. So I'm going to write this all as one root, 9x squared y all over 6x cubed y cubed. Okay, as I do this, now I want to simplify. What's the biggest number that goes into 9 and 6? Well, that's 3. Well, 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, 6 divided by 3 is 2. Okay, now it's division. So what do I do with my exponents? I subtract them. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and it goes in the bottom because that's where the bigger number is. For the y's, 3 minus 1 is 2, and it goes in the bottom, so that's where the number is. Okay, so on the top, I'm going to separate these again. This is the square root of 3 over the square root of 2xy squared. Okay, now comes the challenging part, is figuring out, okay, what do I multiply by? So as I multiply, again, I want powers of 2 on the bottom. So when I multiply on the bottom and on the top, I for sure have to have a 2 in there. Okay, now you have 1x in the bottom, so I need to multiply by another x because I need to make that a power of 2. So an x on the bottom and on the top. And now as you look at the y's, I already have a power of 2. So I don't need to multiply by any y's at all because that's going to cancel for me. Okay, so on the top, I get the square root of 3 times the square root of 2x. So that's the square root of 6x on the top. On the bottom, I get the square root of 2 squared times x squared times y squared. Okay, because there is 2 2's, there's 2 x's, and there's 2 y's. Okay, so now when I simplify this thing, this is going to be the square root of 6x, because neither one of those have a power of 2. On the bottom, all of these 3 are going to come out of the root. So it's going to be 2 and an x and a y, and there's nothing left in the root. Okay, so now I'm looking to simplify. Well, there's nothing I can simplify because there's nothing outside the root up top, so I'm done. All right, let's take a look over here at example number 4. Okay, again, is there a number that goes into 25 and 10? There is, so I'm going to simplify this by writing it as 1 whole root 25x squared y over 10 x cubed y. Okay, so biggest number that goes into 25 and 10, that's 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Okay, again, I subtract my exponents. So, because it's division. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and that 1's going to go on the bottom. And then 1 minus 1 is 0, so essentially these y's are going to go away. That's the reason we write them as one whole root, because you can simplify these a little bit and make life a little bit easier on yourself. So, split them up, square root of 5 on top, square root of 2x on the bottom. So I got to figure out what am I going to multiply by. I know for sure I'm going to have a 2 in there. Okay. There's one x on the bottom, so I need 2 of them, so I'm going to have to multiply by an x as well. So on the top, I get the square root of 10x, because 5 times 2 is 10. X tags along. And on the bottom, I get the square root of 2 squared times x squared, because there's, again, two 2's and 2 x's. So when I simplify this guy, nothing comes out on top, because there's no powers of 2. On the bottom, both the 2 and the x come out, and there's no more root in the denominator. Now, as I look at this, can I simplify my anything on top? Nope, because this is all inside the root, and that's all outside the root. So, this is my simplified final answer. Okay, so now you should be able to complete page 3 of the class kick examples with variables.